Have you ever felt that there's something more waiting for you? A deep sensation that the life you're living isn't completely yours? Perhaps at the end of the day, when the noise of the world quiets down and you're left alone with your thoughts, you wonder if all this effort is really taking you where your soul longs to go. If you're here, you probably feel that restlessness, that inner voice whispering that there's something more. You're not alone. Carl Jung, one of the most profound and visionary psychologists in history, dedicated his life to understanding precisely this inner struggle. And what he discovered will transform the way you see your life and, most importantly, how you relate to yourself. Today we're going to dive into a fascinating journey. I'll reveal the 11 reasons why your soul attracts blessings when you finally dare to choose yourself. We're not talking about superficial selfishness, but about that brave and profound decision to honor your inner truth even when the entire world seems to be pushing you in another direction. First reason: reconnecting with your shadow transforms your reality. Jung taught us that we all have a shadow, those parts of ourselves that we've repressed, ignored, or feared. They are the aspects of our personality that we consider unacceptable, that we hide from others, and more dangerously, from ourselves. When you choose to ignore your shadow, you're rejecting an essential part of yourself. It's like trying to navigate with only half of the map. Inevitably, you would end up lost, confused, wondering why things never turn out as you expect. But here's the transformative truth. When you choose yourself, you begin the brave process of integrating your shadow. You start to recognize those aspects that you've kept hidden, perhaps your anger, your deepest desires, your fears, or ambitions. And something extraordinary happens when you finally face them. They lose their destructive power over you. A woman who worked in my workshops had repressed her anger for decades. Good girls don't get angry, she had been taught. But that repressed anger manifested in toxic relationships, in accepting less than she deserved, in a constant feeling of resentment. When she finally allowed herself to recognize and express her anger in a healthy way, everything in her life began to change. Her relationships became more authentic, her boundaries clearer, and that feeling of living only halfway disappeared. Jung explained it this way: what you deny submits you. What you accept transforms you. When you integrate your shadow, you release an immense energy that you previously spent keeping those parts of you under control. It is this liberated energy that begins to attract blessings into your life, opportunities that resonate with who you truly are, not with the mask you've been wearing. Second reason: your intuition amplifies when you honor your inner truth. Have you ever felt that inexplicable certainty about something or someone? A feeling in your stomach that tells you yes or no long before your logical mind can analyze it? That's your intuition, what Jung called the transcendent function, that bridge between your conscious and your unconscious. Most of us have been trained to ignore this inner wisdom. We've been taught to trust only in the logical, the measurable, what we can prove with data. And so, slowly, we lose connection with that inner compass that always knows what our next step should be. When you choose to honor yourself, you're also choosing to listen to that inner voice. At first, it may seem weak, barely a whisper among the noise of external expectations. But each time you listen to it, each time you act based on it, it becomes stronger. A businessman I worked with was trapped in a cycle of decisions that seemed logical on paper, but never took him where he really wanted to go. Always one more promotion, always one more achievement, always chasing that elusive feeling of enough. When he finally allowed himself to question whether that path really resonated with him, his intuition, which had been trying to guide him for years, could finally be heard. It guided him to leave his corporate career and start a project that truly passionate him. For the first time, he told me, I feel I'm on the right path, even if I can't see the final destination. Jung firmly believed that our intuition is the manifestation of humanity's collective wisdom, what he called the collective unconscious. When you connect with it, you're not only accessing your own wisdom, but an ancestral intelligence that knows exactly what you need to flourish. And when you follow this guidance, synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that Jung studied, begin to multiply in your life. Third reason, the individuation process attracts circumstances aligned with your essence. Jung coined the term individuation to describe the process by which we become complete and integrated beings. It's not simply being yourself in a superficial sense. It's the deep and continuous work of discovering who you really are beyond social, family, or cultural expectations. When you commit to this path, something extraordinary begins to happen in your energy field. It's as if the universe can finally see you as you are, without the distortions of the masks you've been wearing, and it responds by bringing people, opportunities, and circumstances that are perfectly aligned with your true essence. Think about it. How many times have you tried to force situations, relationships, or achievements that simply didn't flow? That resistance is a powerful sign. Your soul knows there's a more authentic path waiting for you, one that doesn't require you to compress or contort yourself to fit in. An artist I worked with had spent years trying to make her art commercially viable. She changed her style, followed trends, ignored her inner voice that pushed her toward experimentation. She was exhausted and disillusioned. When she finally gave herself permission to create from her authenticity, without worrying about how it would be received, she not only found her distinctive style, but also began to attract collectors who valued precisely what made her unique. Jung wrote, "Individuation does not shut one out from the world, but gathers the world to oneself. When you choose yourself, you're not isolating yourself from the world. On the contrary, you're finding your unique place in it, the space where your gifts can flourish and contribute in the most meaningful way." Fourth reason, synchronicity manifests when you live aligned with yourself. One of the most fascinating concepts Jung explored was synchronicity, those moments when external events seem to mysteriously coordinate with our internal states. They're not simple coincidences. They're what Jung called meaningful coincidences that suggest a deep connection between our psyche and the world around us. When you live disconnected from your truth, you rarely experience these synchronicities. You can go years without noticing those subtle signs, those winks from the universe trying to guide you. But when you choose to honor your authentic path, these events begin to multiply in an astonishing way. Suddenly, the perfect book falls into your hands just when you needed its message. You meet the exact person who can help you with your next step. An opportunity appears precisely when you're ready for it. It's not magic or coincidence. It's the natural result of aligning your inner world with the outer one. A doctor who attended my lectures had been feeling a calling toward integrative medicine, but his traditional education and fear of change kept him on his conventional path. When he finally decided to explore this passion, he began to experience synchronicities almost daily, from meeting pioneers in the field to discovering training programs that perfectly fit his needs. "It's as if the universe had been waiting for me to make this decision," he shared with amazement. Jung observed that these synchronicities aren't arbitrary. They follow a principle of a causal connectedness. In other words, they're not connected by cause and effect, but by meaning. When you live from your authentic center, your life becomes a dance of meaning, where the internal and external constantly reflect each other, guiding you toward your maximum expression. Fifth reason, the integration of archetypes amplifies your personal power. Jung revolutionized our understanding of the human psyche with his theory of archetypes, those universal patterns that reside in our collective unconscious. The hero, the shadow, the sage, the great mother. They are primordial energies that powerfully influence our behaviors, desires, and fears. When you live disconnected from yourself, these archetypes can dominate you unconsciously. You become the martyr who always sacrifices for others, or the victim who never has control over their life, or the warrior who must always be in battle. These patterns keep you trapped in repetitive cycles, even though you consciously desire something different. But when you choose the path of authenticity, you begin to recognize these archetypes in action. They no longer possess you. You learn to relate to them consciously. This is one of the most powerful transformations you can experience. A single mother who participated in my workshops realized she was trapped in the martyr archetype. She always put everyone ahead of herself, to the point of total exhaustion. By recognizing this pattern, she could begin to integrate other archetypes: the queen who establishes healthy boundaries, the warrior who fights for her well-being, the lover who allows herself pleasure and rest. Her life began to balance, and most surprisingly, her children flourished even more when she stopped overprotecting them from her martyrdom. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you consciously integrate these archetypes, you stop being a puppet of invisible forces. You become the director of your own life, capable of invoking the archetypal energy you need in each situation. Sixth reason. Psychological alchemy transforms your wounds into gifts. Jung was fascinated by medieval alchemy, not so much for its literal quest to transform metals into gold, but for what it symbolically represented: the transformation of the human being from an ordinary state to an enlightened one. Jung saw in these ancient alchemical texts perfect metaphors for the process of psychological transformation. When you choose to face your deepest wounds instead of avoiding them, you're initiating your own alchemical process. It's what Jung called the opus. It's not easy or comfortable. It requires you to look directly at the pain, shame, fear that you've been avoiding, perhaps for your entire life. But here's the extraordinary transformation. Those same wounds, when recognized and consciously worked with, become your greatest gifts to the world. Your pain transforms into deep understanding. Your struggle becomes wisdom that can illuminate the path for others. A man who suffered abuse in his childhood spent decades trying to bury those memories. Alcohol, overwork, superficial relationships, everything served to keep that pain at a distance. When he finally chose to face his trauma with therapeutic support, he went through an emotional hell. But on the other side of that process, he discovered an extraordinary capacity to connect with traumatized children. His wound, once transmuted, became a gift that he now uses to heal others as a child therapist. Jung expressed it perfectly. The gold is in the darkness. Your most difficult experiences, when embraced and integrated, contain precisely the qualities and gifts that make you unique. This is the true meaning of psychological alchemy, not eliminating your dark parts, but transforming them into your brightest light. Seventh reason. Detachment from the ego allows abundance to flow without obstacles. Jung clearly distinguished between the ego and the self. The ego is our conscious identity, the one we build over the years, and that helps us function in the world. The self is our deepest center, which transcends the ego and connects us with something much vaster. Many of us live completely identified with our ego. My achievements, my failures, my image, my status, this constant concern for the I and mine creates an energetic contraction. It's as if we were constantly grabbing with both hands, unable to receive because we don't have open hands. When you choose to recognize that you are more than your ego, that there is a dimension of your being that transcends your temporary identifications, you experience a profound expansion. You no longer need to constantly defend an image. You no longer need every situation to feed your sense of identity. And in that open space, abundance begins to flow without the usual obstacles. An executive who participated in my programs had built his entire identity around professional success. Every setback was experienced as an existential threat. When he began to explore his identity beyond the ego, he discovered a sense of fullness that didn't depend on external factors. Paradoxically, that's when his career really took off, no longer from the desperation to prove his worth, but from authentic generosity and a desire to contribute. Jung described this process as the relativization of the ego, not its elimination, but its correct placement as an important but limited aspect of our totality. When the ego stops being the tyrant of your psyche and becomes a servant of your deeper self, a channel opens for blessings to naturally flow into your life. Eighth reason, the conscious relationship with the anima, animus, balances your creative energy. Jung introduced the concepts of anima and animus to describe the contrasexual aspects of our psyche. The anima is the feminine aspect in man. The animus is the masculine aspect in woman. We all contain both energies, regardless of our gender. When we reject these parts of ourselves, when a man represses all his sensitivity for fear of appearing weak, or when a woman denies her assertiveness for fear of not being feminine, we create a profound imbalance. The creative energy that arises from the dance between the masculine and feminine is blocked. Choosing yourself means embracing all your internal energies, regardless of cultural expectations. It means allowing yourself to be complete. And when this integration occurs, your ability to manifest, to create, to attract what you desire is exponentially amplified. A brilliant engineer I worked with had repressed everything she considered weak or emotional to survive in a male-dominated environment. She was respected, but feared, and felt deeply alone. By recognizing and beginning to integrate her anima, her capacity for tenderness, receptivity, nurturing, she not only felt more complete as a person, but surprisingly became an even more effective leader. Her team began to flourish under leadership that combined assertiveness with empathy. Jung believed this integration of anima and animus was essential for genuine creativity. Creativity lies in that no man's land where anima and animus meet. When you allow both energies to coexist and collaborate within you, you become a more complete channel for the blessings of the universe. Ninth reason, acceptance of mortality intensifies each present moment. Jung had a profound relationship with the theme of death, not as something we should fear or avoid thinking about, but as the reality that gives meaning and urgency to our existence. Death, he wrote, is psychologically as important as birth and exerts an equal influence on our lives. Most of us live as if we had infinite time. We postpone our deepest dreams, tolerate relationships that drain our energy, stay in jobs our souls hate, all under the unconscious illusion that there will always be tomorrow to live the life we really want. When you choose to look directly at your mortality, not from paralyzing fear, but from conscious acceptance, something profound changes in you. You are no longer willing to waste your precious life energy on what doesn't matter. You can no longer postpone your authenticity for a future that is never guaranteed. A man in my workshops had spent 20 years in a career he hated because it provided security. After the sudden death of a colleague his age, he faced his own mortality in a way he never had before. Is this the life I want to be remembered for? He asked himself. That question drove him to finally pursue his passion for documentary photography. I may have less financial security, he told me, but every day I feel I'm truly alive, not just existing. Jung teaches us that when we integrate the reality of death into our daily consciousness, we experience what he called living symbolically, where every moment is imbued with deeper meaning. And it is precisely this quality of total presence that attracts blessings with an abundance we never experience when we live halfway, constantly projecting toward the future. 10th reason. Reconciliation with your personal history releases blocked energy. Jung deeply understood that our past continues to live in us unless we consciously integrate it, not just our personal experiences, but also what he called the family unconscious. Those patterns, traumas, and gifts we inherit from our ancestors. When we reject aspects of our history, when we refuse to look at the pain of our childhood, or the dysfunction in our family of origin, or even the gifts that were given to us but that we fear to claim, we create pockets of stagnant energy in our psyche. It's like trying to navigate a river with numerous dams blocking the natural flow. Choosing yourself means being willing to honestly look at your entire history, not to get stuck in it or to blame others, but to recognize how it has shaped you and, most importantly, to consciously choose what you want to carry forward with you and what you're ready to release. A writer in one of my groups had been struggling for years with creative block. Exploring her family history, she discovered a generational pattern of repressed creativity. Her grandmother had been a talented painter who abandoned her art due to family pressures. Her mother had dreamed of being a dancer but never pursued it. By recognizing this pattern, she could see her block not just as a personal problem, but as a generational wound that she had the opportunity to heal. This understanding released something deep in her, and her writing began to flow with an authenticity and power she had never experienced before. Jung called this process ancestral redemption, the idea that when we heal aspects of our psyche, we are also healing something that goes beyond us. And when this healing occurs, the energy that was blocked in maintaining old patterns becomes free to manifest new possibilities in your life. 11th reason. Connection with the collective unconscious synchronizes you with universal wisdom. For Jung, the collective unconscious represents an aspect of the psyche that transcends our individual experience. It is a repository of ancestral wisdom, of universal symbols and archetypes that we share as humanity. It is the source of our myths, our dreams, our deepest intuitions. Most of us live disconnected from this abundant source. We identify exclusively with our conscious mind, with logical and linear thinking, setting aside the intuitive and symbolic intelligence that would connect us with something much vaster. When you choose to explore your own unconscious, through your dreams, through spontaneous creativity, through deep meditation, you begin to establish a bridge between your ordinary consciousness and this field of universal intelligence. And when this bridge is established, you begin to receive guidance and inspiration that goes far beyond what your conscious mind could generate on its own. A scientist who attended my seminars had been stuck for months on a complex problem related to his research. He began to pay attention to his dreams, something he had previously dismissed as irrelevant. One night he dreamed of a specific geometric pattern that, upon waking, he recognized as a possible solution to the problem he was working on. That inspiration led him to a significant breakthrough in his field. "I would never have come to this with my usual analytical thinking," he confessed in amazement. Jung described this connection with the collective unconscious as the transcendent function, that capacity of our psyche to synthesize the conscious and the unconscious, creating something new that transcends both. When we cultivate this function, we become channels for a wisdom that transcends us individually, and our lives naturally fill with inspiration, creativity, and meaningful synchronicities. The path forward. How to start choosing yourself. These 11 reasons show you the transformative power of choosing yourself, but perhaps you're wondering where to start. Jung offered us practical tools for this inner journey. First, begin to pay attention to your dreams. Jung considered dreams as letters from the unconscious, direct messages from those parts of you that have been ignored or repressed. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Don't worry about interpreting them immediately. Simply the act of recording them and reflecting on them establishes a communication with your unconscious. Second, observe your projections. When someone intensely irritates you or completely fascinates you, ask yourself, what part of me am I seeing in this person? Jung said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Our projections are windows to our shadow. Third, create space for daily introspection. In our hyper-connected society, we're rarely alone with ourselves long enough to hear our inner voice. Dedicate time each day, even if it's just 10 minutes, to sit in silence, breathe, and simply be with yourself. Fourth, pay attention to synchronicities. When significant events occur in your life, especially those that seem like amazing coincidences, take them as signs that you're on the right path. Jung saw these synchronicities as confirmations that we are aligned with something greater than ourselves. Finally, surround yourself with people who support your authenticity. Jung emphasized the importance of relationships that nurture our true growth, not those that keep us small for the comfort of others. Sometimes, choosing yourself means reevaluating your social circles and being brave in establishing new boundaries. Conclusion: your soul awaits your decision. At the end of the day, it all comes down to a fundamental decision. Will you choose to live from authenticity, or will you continue pleasing external expectations at the cost of your inner truth? It's a decision you must make over and over again, day after day. It's not a destination you arrive at, but a path you continuously travel. There will be days when you feel lost, days when you doubt, days when fear will tempt you to return to old patterns. This is normal. It's part of the process. But each time you choose to reconnect with your truth, each time you choose to take a step, however small, toward the person you truly are, you're creating waves in the universe. You're saying yes to your soul, and the universe always responds to this affirmation with blessings you couldn't even imagine. Jung reminded us that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. This awakening is your birthright. It's not something you have to earn or deserve. It's already within you, waiting for you to recognize it. If this message has resonated in some deep place within you, take it as a sign. An invitation from your soul to take the next step in your journey of self-discovery. You're not alone on this path. Millions of people around the world are awakening to the same truth, recognizing that there is something more than a life of complacency and disconnection. I invite you to join our community. Share this video with someone you know needs to hear this message. Leave a comment sharing which of these 11 reasons resonated most with you. Subscribe to this channel for more content that will support you in your transformation journey. Remember, each time you choose your truth, you're illuminating the path for others to find the courage to do the same. Your act of authenticity is, in itself, a service to the world. And if you want to dive even deeper into Jung's teachings and how to apply them to your daily life, I invite you to my next online workshop where we'll explore practical tools to navigate this inner journey. You'll find all the details in the description of this video. Your soul has been patiently waiting. It has been whispering, guiding, showing you signs. Now is the time to listen. Now is the time to choose yourself. Because when you do, you not only transform your own life, but you contribute to the collective healing of our world. Thank you for being here, for your courage, and for your willingness to look deeper. See you in the next video, and remember, the greatest act of courage is to be true to the truth of who you really are.